So I'm going to be the devil's advocate here, and I'm going to talk about big pharma a little bit. So the question is how much does it cost to develop one drug? Because it is expensive. So these pharmaceutical companies, it takes a lot of time, research, clinical trials to make a drug. On average, it takes 10 to 12 years, right, to design a drug, to develop it, the approval for it, and to market it. So it's a long roadmap. I understand that these companies are upcharging us, but the question is, like, is it fair? So one statistic was that one successful drug costs up to $2.6 billion to market. And a lot of these drugs fail, right? I think over 90% sometimes don't make it.
They do. That's how it is. But a lot of times they have a cushion. So a lot of these drugs, since they're so expensive to make and it takes so long to create, a lot of these drugs are subsidized by the government. So the government dishes out the funds and pays for a large chunk of the research, which then they get back once the drug gets approved or hits market. And unfortunately, like you said, 90% of those drugs fail. So 90% of the time, the government's not getting their money back. And once these companies create a drug that proves to be effective, they basically sell it. They have a patent for X amount of years. They sell it, they pay the government back, and then whatever else they make off of it goes to the company itself.
That's profit, and it's not controlled. It's not regulated. We don't negotiate prices. It's just...
Yeah. So the government helps them out to get this drug in market and prove that it works, and they get no compensation. They just get the money back that they brought with. They don't get any kind of percentage. They don't get any kind of say on how much the drug will cost. Nothing like that. The company has full control of that drug.
And even Bernie said that these pharmaceutical companies are spending more money on marketing and advertising, just like in our TV ads, than actually putting money into the research to develop and create a better drug for the future.
Yeah, like you were saying, let's say a drug costs $2.6 billion, to bring to market. So they cost them that much money. Let's say they make within their first year $3 billion. So they made already a $400 million profit. That all goes to the company, and whatever the company wants to do with it, pays employees, great. But there isn't a limit on how much profit they could take. There's no laws or nothing that says you could only upcharge 10%. So they could bring the charge up 100%, and next year they can make $6 billion.
It's
$12
like,
billion.
It's like that company that like raised the EpiPen. If you have allergic reaction, like 400%. Like, who's the one that's driving the price margins, man? And there's no regulatory body for this, so they're able to do it, and we have to just eat up the cost, man. And AKA, these are the insurance companies. So, like, whether we like it or not, whether we like to admit it, our healthcare system is a business, and it's about making money. We care about patients. The big guys up there, man, it's a system, man. Let's evaluate a few things. So let's talk about insulin. The cost of insulin is skyrocketing, right? And on average, a type 1 diabetic, the average cost in 2012 for insulin was $12,467, right? So 12.4K. In 2016, that cost went up to 18.4K. So now it's greater. Why? We have to start looking at this, like, where are these, prices coming up? And many individuals are stuck with insulin, and just like we talked about, they're going to give each other a smaller dose to make it last longer, and in reality, they're ruining their health and their outcomes, creating chronic problems, leading to death, rehospitalization. Like, that is sad, man. And we're pinpointing people in this position, man. I have chills. God, yeah. I'm so passionate about this topic, huh?
It's unbelievable. Like, to address the cost, like you would think that the more you produce a certain medication, you're gonna be able to adapt and produce more of that at greater efficiency. Like Tesla cars, you could give, for example, as another reference. They're expensive, but the cost decreases over time because as time goes on, they become more efficient. They find new materials, and the car eventually gets cheaper. Same with medication. Like, how does your drug price increase from 2012 to 2016?
When it's the same drug, nothing was changed or anything else.
Yeah, you'd think you'd be more efficient at making it. You had a 4-year time span. You would think you kind of create a machine that you could automate it, or it's going to be... They for sure have made production of insulin more efficient. They just upcharge it because they can. Like you said, there's no regulatory body. Yeah, there's no regulatory. They can charge whatever they want. And if they have a patent on it, no one else has a recipe, you could do whatever you want.
That's messed up.
No generic brands, of your medication at all. So you're in complete control.
Yeah. Another drug, to give you a perfect example, Humira. So it's an immunosuppressant drug. It treats arthritis, psoriasis, Crohn's disease, and ulcerative colitis. Great drug for a lot of people. My grandma, she has issues with arthritis. She takes Humira injection. Her joints feel better and everything else, right? But she had an issue with insurance because it costs so much. So very popular drug. In 2015, that drug has worldwide, people have spent $14 billion on that prescription. That is, per statistic, the whole economy of Jamaica. That's how much that one pill or drug profited. And give you another statistic. Let's just say you're a doctor in the United Kingdom. Humira prescription will cost an average of $1,300. If you're seeing a doctor in Switzerland, that drug is going to cost you $822. If you're in the United States and you go see your doctor, that prescription is going to cost you $2,600.
It's like twice what it costs somewhere else.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of times people going to Canada for prescription drugs like insulin because it's like almost a third of the cost, which is ridiculous. And the reason being is for those countries, the person that negotiates the price of these drugs is the government. There's one body that negotiates the price for everybody. Compared to here where, insurance negotiate and, you get positives and negatives with certain companies. And a lot of people argue that, a lot of these companies argue that we pay a premium so other countries can have a less cost, which I find is complete bullshit because after a certain amount of years, you're taking all the profits. So that argument is completely ridiculous. And people are pushing for, globalism and equal economies all around. Like, how is this fair? It's really not fair.
It isn't. And the topic of is there regulations on prescription costs? And unfortunately, United States, that is one of those things where we do not regulate drug prices. If a new prescription comes out, it's considered safe. Boom, it's on the market. Compared to other countries, let's just say Australia or something, so they actually have a government that will meet up with this pharmaceutical company and they're going to compare prices. They're going to negotiate them. They're going to first see whether it's even worth bringing out to the market. They're going to compare other treatments and see whether it's more effective. Because what's the point of bringing a drug to the market in Australia if it's not any better than it already is? Like Australia literally, I think, refuses half the cancer drugs that are in the United States because they don't see it being any effective.
Yeah.
And the United States is the only one that the drug makers are setting their own costs. So if you're in Australia, you're negotiating, the government is negotiating the price of drugs. They set a price, that's it. In the United States, there isn't a government regulatory to negotiate any pricing on prescription pills. What happens is the drug company sets the price, then they negotiate between insurance companies. That's crazy. So different insurance companies are going to have a different set point of the price of specific prescription pills.
Right. You're not even picking the drugs you want to take or the brands. No one ever presents you like, hey, these are 4 blood thinners. This is the price for each of them. Which one do you like? Here are this is the cost analysis. These are the pros. These are the cons. You can choose. No one says that. It's your doctor gonna give you whatever the insurance negotiated with the company. If insurance company gets a better deal with Xarelto, you're gonna be on Xarelto versus Coumadin. It's just how it works. It's crazy. You don't see any of this.
And you don't know whether that pill is more effective or not. It's just what your insurance has negotiated. That's a treatment that you're
right.
using.
What it covers.
What it covers. So that's one corrupt system we have to fix. We have to make sure our healthcare system is more regulated by the United States government, where the United States government is freaking talking to these pharmaceutical companies or negotiating prices. Just like in other countries like United Kingdom, Switzerland, Australia. Not freaking free reign in America and they can do whatever they want.
Right.
And unfortunately, we have lobbyists, which, these pharmaceutical companies are paying millions, billions of dollars to sway things their way to make sure things are the way they are here because they're freaking making tons of money.
Yeah. Think about lobbyists are very strong. Like, there's a reason why cigarettes still exist. It's just lobbyists. That's the reason why cigarettes have been shown to be healthier or produce no harm in the past. Just lobbyists, just because they were able to sway, people that are in Congress or in the Senate or House of Representatives. They were able to sway their opinion.
They did it for decades
Yeah.
before we finally said, hey, we need some freaking labels, man.
Yeah, that's how it works.